We're live.
There we go. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, and those in between, hi, welcome to Three Sides of the Coin, where myself, Christopher Rausch, my co-host, Audra Irwin, and Carol Pilkington are here today to enlighten you about ourselves and what we stand for and what we're about, and a little bit about our stories and how possibly things we've been through and things we believe can help impact you in your life. I'm Christopher Rausch, the creator of the Kick-Ass Guide to Life, and I'm coming to you live from my studios here in Southern California, and I am excited about today's show, and we're going to get into it in just a minute. I'd like to introduce my fellow co-hosts, Carol and Audra. Say something, my dears.
Yay! Happy Friday, everybody! It's Audra Irwin, your High on Life coach, hanging with my two favorite monkeys today on Sides of the Coin. Anyway, it's going to be a fun hour. Hope that you enjoy hanging with us as much as we enjoy hanging with each other. So can't wait to share some cool things with you today. And Carol? Carol?
I'm here. It just takes me a little while to maneuver this stupid mic. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. I'm Carol Pilkington, spiritual teacher and mentor for those who are lost in transition and looking for their identity. And I also work with people that are feeling chaotic inside and want peace, everything that they're doing every day. And I'm excited to be here sharing this moment with my compadres, Audra and Christopher. Yay!
Yay! I'm like extra skibbity doodah today, which like I need to be anymore, right? Because I had
get some energy.
Get some energy. Yeah. No, because I had a really great radio show this morning, and I know that you, Christopher, you have your show, and Carol, you've been doing a lot of shows with other people and some platforms, and you just know like how just amazing it is to be able to share your insight and your journey with other people, as well as sharing other people. Somebody is trying to encroach on my time here.
And you're sharing your phone.
And well, you know I have squirrel syndrome. Squirrel. Yeah, it's funny. I went to the little beach thing this morning, and they had a sign that said, "Don't feed the squirrels." And I took a picture of it. I'm like, that's what we do when we get off on our tangents. We feed them other. Anyway, back to you. Was there a point to what I was talking about? Oh yes, a platform. Having this platform. Having a platform to share. And so, yeah, I love that we're able to do that. Anyway, I'm just extra like hyper today because I had one of my favorite people on my radio show. That's all.
Really? I wasn't on.
Well, that's true, and you definitely are one of my favorite people.
Who was on your show?
Tamara and Greg, Montana, heartvirtue.com, and yeah, they're amazing. Their work is amazing. They're a beautiful couple that has that amazing dichotomy of, just you're awesome. Yay.
Cool.
So,
who wants to lead off and talk about themselves?
Talk about yourselves. Well, I guess I will, since I've already, started popping here like popcorn. I am Audra Irwin, the High on Life coach, and it is my passion to help others overcome the limitations that keep them from expressing themselves fully. So true, authentic self-expression is what I'm committed to, and helping people let go of the things that keep them from honoring their true, authentic nature and expressing that in the highest form. And so, just even sharing and having the place to allow myself to share is something that I overcame because I lived for a really long time, holding back and thinking that I was wrong and that my behavior wasn't acceptable, or somehow I just wasn't acceptable. And had to get over all of that, and my journey of getting through that and allowing myself to just show up as me, love it or lump it, And so I'm just passionate about encouraging others to rock their bandanas like you. So that's
So I
me.
have a question for you, Audra.
Okay.
Oftentimes people are wanting more of what somebody else has, and so can you give us an example of a specific process that you went through to work through how to live a more authentic life, and because it doesn't happen
Cutting out, honey bunny.
overnight as we know it, and we certainly don't want to project.
I kind of didn't catch all that, but I think I hear what you're asking me. Is what did I do, because it doesn't happen overnight, and you are so totally right. It doesn't happen overnight. It was a complete journey of me rediscovering who I truly am and what I truly want and what I truly believe, because we are so brought up, you know, conditioned and programmed by everything else that we lose sight of our authentic nature. And so I think what happens is, for me, it's that whole identifying when you know that you're not happy, when you know that you're, you know, like for me it was I saw everybody else having these amazing lives and, like, you know, rocking their lives and having happy lives, and I wanted a piece of it. And I'm like, why am I not happy? And then, you know, I did all the things that supposedly would give you that happiness, you know. On paper, I should have been happy, but I wasn't inside, and I had to really open that up and look at it. And it was just that I wasn't congruent with my authentic self-expression. What lights me up? We're all different, you know. And so it was just really getting real with, no matter what it looks like on the outside to other people, I have to do what's right for me. So I was like, okay, why am I not happy? And I just started exploring it, right? I noticed that I hold back. Like I had this perfectionism thing, right? Like I want to create all of this stuff, and then but I wouldn't create anything because I was like, oh, it's not right. I'm comparing it to them, and all those shenanigans that kept me from living life and having fun and doing fun things and being creative. And so it was just, I think it's just getting real with, this is your life. Do you want to live on everyone else's terms, or do you want to live on your own? And what are those terms? And then, you know, I know that this show today is sharing, like, what were some of those things that got us to where we are. And for me, it's as simply as being intentional that I didn't want to live like that anymore. I wanted to play. And I knew that I had to come to realize that I was in charge of my happy, and all the things that I was seeking outside of me to make me happy just were so empty promises. And so I started to read. I started to get curious about myself. I started looking back. Where did I start? Where do I hold back? Why do I do that? What am I really afraid of, right? So it's really self-questioning. It's like what we do in the coaching environment, but it's like turning that inward and really, you know, going, what's true for me? So that's just kind of where it started. And then I think when you're really intentional about expanding and growing and evolving yourself, your soul and your spirit, that, like, just different things pop up, like synchronicities start to happen, and it's like you get fed from your angels what you need to take you to that next level in life, and then you just start letting go. And so it's like a layer. It's like peeling back all of these layers. So like you said, Carol, it's one layer at a time. It's like one book at a time, one connection, one encounter, one moment or opportunity for you to allow yourself to speak your truth, right? And it's just a domino effect from there. But it's just getting curious about yourself. Now I'm curious about everybody else. And I'm still curious about myself oftentimes, you know, because we're evolving. But anyway, does that help you with your question?
Thanks so much. How about you, Chris? What started you on your journey? You've got an incredible story, and so there was what caused you to go on a journey of self-discovery and want to bring that to others as well?
Great question. It was, first I want to comment on a couple of things that Audra said, which I think were really important for everybody watching and also for ourselves. I mean, one of the things you talked about, Audra, was congruency, and that internal dissonance that we have when we sit there and say, oh, we're like this on the outside for everybody else, but inside we're like, no, I'm not really happy, and I'm not doing what I want to do. And we put on this front. That incongruency is what causes us to get sick and to be miserable. And it goes back to, the vibrations that we put off. It's amazing. Like you're experiencing that, Audrey, right now. And you too, Carol, where you're just like, you're on fire and you just feel good. And you're just like, okay, a lot of other things are happening now. It's because that vibration is so positive and the law of attraction is happening, and you're just like, okay, cool, this is more stuff's coming. But we notice that when we're in the dumps, it's like, why aren't things happening for me? I'm always in a good mood, and it's like crazy what happens. So I just wanted to applaud you on that. And it's a lot of the same for me. I spent most of my younger life trying to fit in and trying to measure up to other people's expectations by being something I wasn't. It's like, okay, I'm not really interested in sports, so I tried to be interested in sports, and it came off as being fake. I tried to impress people with things that I had that I didn't have, that I wanted to have, and it, just got caught in lies and stuff like that. So for me, it started when I started looking at who was successful in the world and how they were. Most of them were authentic, from what I could tell, and they just said, okay, here's what I am, here's who I am. If you like me, great, come along for the ride, and if you don't, then go find somebody else who does make you happy. And that's where I'm at. And it wasn't until, because I knew that I always liked to be in front of people and like to be the center of attention and like to either make people laugh or make people think. And for me, that journey started in 2008 when I sat down and I wrote my eulogy after attending a funeral. And I wrote down, and I was at the funeral, and I was thinking, okay, what am I going to be remembered for if I died tomorrow? It would have been party animal, drinker, Jack Daniels, woman chaser, smartass, rebel, all this other stuff, which was fun. I don't regret any of it. Well, most of it, and except for the time I landed in jail, but that's another story. But I realized when I wrote my eulogy that my life was really so much more, and that the gist of it was that I will have risked for which that was right and what was fair. I will have fought for what was right and what was fair. I'll have risked for which that mattered, and I will have left the earth a better place for who I was and what I did. And then I started on that path, and as you guys know, I was doing the suit and tie speaking, and I was doing all the things, that I was supposed to do, but I just wasn't happy. That incongruency, like you talked about, Audra, it was, I hated putting a suit on. It was like, okay, now I feel like I'm stifling myself and I'm pretending to be something I'm not. I'm a rocker, I'm a biker, this is who I am, got my Guns N' Roses shirt on, and when you find out what really lights you up in life, like we're talking about the vibration, people come along for the ride. Some people are going to sit there and stand in the bleachers and want to piss on your parade, and then you just sit there and you wave as you're going by and you're smiling and you're having a nice life. So it was really that. It was really getting around like-minded people who had my best interest at heart and not wanting to drag me down for being who I was and telling me, like Les Brown told me that one time. He's like, Christopher, you should just wear the suit and tie. And I said, Les, I'm sorry, I'm not that person. I don't want to pretend to be something I'm not. If people like me the way I am, then that's great. And that's really what I preach and I live every single day.
And we do. We really, really like you.
What about you, Carol? Same question for you.
Well, it's interesting because when I was little, I had this feeling everything and everyone was love. And I looked around me and I saw a lot of unhappy people. And they were going to church and hoping that they would find their answers there, and some people did, some people didn't. But inside, I knew that I was the only one that could give me what I wanted, and that was at a really young age, and so it made me sad that others were not able to experience the depth and profoundness of being love. Everybody's looking for love in all these other different places and experiences. And, you know, I did that too because I did not feel that I was enough. I wasn't enough to change how others felt about themselves. And as my journey unfolded, it was really about accepting things as they were, accepting things as they are, accepting people as they are, where they are in their process and their journey. And I can't change anybody. And I also discovered that I didn't change myself. We're constantly talking about, I need to change this, I can change that, I can do this, that, that thing. We can change our hair, we can change our behavior, but we can't change ourselves. And that really pisses a lot of people off when they hear that. But change happens. Change happens when I accept everything to its fullest in the moment. And out of that acceptance, and I keep pouncing on acceptance all the time because that is where change occurs. And I have never been able to change myself. If I could have, I would have a long, long time ago. But we're here to learn lessons, and we need other in order to do that. I think one of the biggest things that I have learned in my process is that nothing happens in a vacuum. We don't transform in a vacuum, we don't change, and we can't be on this planet without other. Yes, we can go to a monastery, but still there's interaction with others, whether we're silent or not. And it's important for me in my journey to always remember that everything that I say and do has an effect on other. So just in that actualization and making that real in every single solitary means that my existence matters. That everything that I do, everything that I say, everything that I am matters simply because I exist. But that became an experience, not just an intellectual knowing. And so in working with people, it's really about getting them to the direct experience of who they really are and helping them through that process. It's a very painful process. Nothing is easy, and it's not meant to be easy. So sorry to go on such a tirade on that, but that's been my journey and how I've gotten where I am and where I'm still going to is inquiring and being mindful and open to every single solitary thing that comes up for me, that I get triggered by, and looking at that as a question, as an observer, to discover the meaning and purpose in whatever it is. And it's in asking those questions and really desiring an experiential answer that I get to where I'm going, and I really make discoveries, a deeper layer. Everything, like you said, Audra, before, everything is in layers. We may have thought that, oh, I'm done with that situation or I'm done with this, but there are always layers and layers and layers to peel away. And just when we think that we've gotten something licked and we think we know it all, is the moment that we get slapped upside the head with something that says, no, not yet. Sorry, there's more to go. And I look at that, and I don't think I have regressed or I have been pushed back by any means, but I've just been let know, I've been told that there's more to go, there's more to learn, there's more to do. There's always more to see, learn, and do.
Always. We're always growing. And I was thinking, your main theme is at least it has been this year since I've been working with you, has been acceptance. Mine has been presence. Christopher, I'm curious what yours would be.
I honestly, it breaks down into two things, and it's simplicity and peace. I've learned, and I was just going to compliment you, Carol, on the fact that there's validation in saying that what we're experiencing here is a journey. We're spiritual beings having a human existence, and as we evolve and as things in our life change, we enter into different chapters of our life. And I was just telling somebody the other day, I can actually say at the age of 45 years old, I think I'm finally maturing, because for most of my life, they say, men mature later. It all happens for us in different spots, but I think finally I'm at a spot where it's like, okay, I'm not 20 years old anymore. I'm not that kind of guy anymore, but I'm still, obviously I'm still me. Geez, put a drink in my hand and God knows what'll happen. How much clothes will stay on. But, it's just about understanding that and embracing that, not fighting it. It's like, I sit there and think about somebody invited me to go to a Kiss concert about a month ago, something like that. And normally I would have jumped at it, but it was like, well, I'm already at the gym and then I got to go home and go to sleep. And it's just like, I'm at a different point in my life. I don't have to go to every single concert. But for me, it's peace and simplicity. It's, it's not about, the title and the money and getting more crap. It's about the experience, like you said, Audra. It's about being in the present and embracing those moments, because I've spent my entire life like, okay, what am I going to do next? Okay, I've got the next 6 months planned out. I'm going to be doing this. I'm going to be doing this, and da 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 da. And then before I know it, it's like, well, it's like, you had the best ice cream in the world, but you inhaled it. You didn't savor it. You didn't taste it. So that's kind of like, I can't put it in one word, but peace and simplicity is really what I'm after right now in my life.
Yeah, that's yummy. I like that. And I love your little analogy.
Yeah, it's it's a journey. I was just helping somebody this morning, and I've been helping another person also. They're trying to rediscover who they are because they were in a marriage for so long, or they spent most of their life taking care of other people, and now they're lost. I remember when I got divorced from my first wife, I spent a year. I'm like, I don't know who I am anymore. I was Chris and Tammy, Chris and Tammy, Chris and Tammy. It's like I didn't have my own identity, and I changed myself because I didn't want to hurt other people's feelings. So I wasn't as funny anymore. I wasn't as sarcastic anymore. I just kind of really just subdued myself to make the relationship work and all this other crap. And it took me a year to find out, oh yeah, that's right, I have a sense of humor. That's right, I say shit that comes out of my mouth and doesn't make any sense sometime, and I'm okay with that. And so I'm helping this person just rediscover who they are, and I just keep telling them, just do what makes you happy. And if people come along for the ride and want to support you, that's great. If people in your life, maybe that's another chapter, and that chapter's closed, and you just go out and find new people who embrace the new you. And at the end of the day, who else are we going to be but us? Who else are we going to be with us? And taking and embracing that learning and surrounding myself with kick-ass people like you is just awesome. I'm in such a good place in my life, and it's not without its struggles. I was just telling somebody earlier, just because I'm a motivational speaker and inspirational and do all this other stuff, I have bad days, bad weeks, bad months, and it's just part of the journey, and you have to learn, okay, what does this mean and what can I grow from it?
You said something to me, and it's about identity. And I think, going back to the question that Carol asked me earlier about my journey, it's like really going, who am I, right? Not who am I, who did I create myself to be in this role, or who am I in this role, but who am I really at my core, and getting curious about that. And I think that, I know, Carol, you've been working with me on this too, but it's like when you shed a lot of layers and you let go of a lot of things, you get to this awkward place. Like it's a great thing and an awkward thing all at the same time. And it's that, okay, I no longer identify with that part of myself. I've worked through it, I've cleared it, it's energetically out of my vortex, right? And now who kind of am I without that? Like, it's just that awareness of, well, normally this person would show up, this advisor in my head would show up to tell me, oh, you should be doing something right now, or you should, and to just be okay with being, and just recognizing that showing up of how you used to roll out, and then being in the awkwardness of, it feels a little foreign, because I used to jump over there, on the bus with that advisor that, ran the show. And And so it's really a kind of a really cool place to be, but awkward at the same time. So we do go through these identity shifts, you know. And I think a lot of identities they're just various roles, you know, like I'm a mom, or I'm a coach or a teacher. You have all these different roles, but your core identity is really, I think, just who you are, you know, on a core level. So I'm just kind of, but identity comes up a lot. Like, I know for me, it was who am I without that person that used to drive my bus? Like, I remember I knew what to expect, and now it's like I don't, and it's really cool. But, you know, once you get through that foreignness of it, it's a really beautiful place to be. And Carol, I know we talked about that, so maybe you want to add some more to that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thanks. It's really one of the things that I've worked on throughout my, you know, whole life, but over the past 14 years, it's been quite an in-depth process of, you know, when everything is stripped away, when we strip away all the things that we consciously think that we are. We're a father, we're a brother, we're a sister, we're a worker, we're whatever we do in the world, all of the things and the belief systems that we could possibly think of, and then all of the things that are underneath the surface that we don't even are aware of, that drive and motivate us, and the identifications that really drive and run us, and uncovering and revealing those identities and stripping them away, one can actually have a direct experience of who they really are. And I was in a process, and it's called partner-assisted contemplation, and where one person is asking, tell me who you are, and the partner responding is taking that question in and responding without filtering, editing, monitoring what comes up as a result of that question. And what's been from that is experience of who we really are. But one day I was being asked, tell me what you are. I began to say, I am thing, but that was, I am, and to have that direct experience of no thingness, it's just remarkable, and it's something that can't be described in to convey the experience. I knew at a direct experiential level that I am not this body, that I am pure consciousness body, and for the next couple of weeks I could actually feel everything, all the machinery in my body working, and that one I-ness of who I really am, control that. And I can postulate and anything that I want. I can do, be, and have anything that I want in that experience of beingness. And we all are that, but it's getting to the point of direct knowingness from an perspective and living from that place. That there's a life-death principle that I've talked about, where in every single solitary moment there's nothing before, nothing after. It's now, 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 now. And that was part of the experience of no thingness. And it's open all at the same time. All the dualities that we live our lives and filter our lives through are non-existent in that place of being. And that is the true nature of who we really are, and not all these other things that we think we are. Our attitudes, whatever our attitudes are, that is not who we are. And it's just an incredible experience to have, and to know that that's the reality of who I am, and that this is a virtual reality, and I have come into this virtual reality game to experience and learn lessons. And this is the vehicle through which I do that.
That's awesome. And what you
Well
said,
said. Well said.
what you said, Carol, about the nothingness is, it's in order to get to the nothingness place, you have to let go of your idea that that there's something that you have to be, do, and have, right? And it's such a strange dichotomy, because it's like when you get to the nothingness place, you realize you can be, do, and have anything. But it's from that pure place of creation, right? Where I get to create this, not because I have to create this so that I can, you know, X, Y, Z, be accepted, have significance, be redeemed, be whatever, right? So it's just, that was just a really crazy dichotomy that showed up when you were talking, that's really what you, it's like a backwards thing. To get to the nothingness, you let go of your belief structure that you're not enough, that there's something more that you need to be, do, or have to be enough. And then from that place of letting that go and that nothingness space is where you realize how creatively powerful we are, and that we can be, do, and have anything that we want, but without attachment to it.
Yeah, that is an actual. I just want to say something really quick about that. There's somethingness and then there's nothingness, but there's a transcendence of those two dualities, and that is no thingness. And I'm being very, very specific, because it's a transcendence of that duality. So I just wanted to iterate that.
Break that down a little more.
Okay, so we live in black and white, love, hate. There are all these different dualities that we live our lives through. Thanks to Aristotle. He talked about the either-or concept, and that's how we live our lives through. That's how it is here on Earth. Everything is a duality, and all the derivatives thereof. But then there's this in the middle called neutral. Well, it's nice to be neutral, but then you still, on occasion, are bouncing back and forth between. It's like being on a seesaw and toggling back and forth between one or the other. But there is a place that goes beyond that line of negative, positive, and neutrality. There's a transcendent point that goes beyond that. And that is the state of being that I experienced. The no-thingness, where there is no duality in that. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And the question I had for you guys, because I mean, obviously, relationships are such an important part of our lives. How did your journey to the enlightenment of being who you are and being comfortable with that, how did that impact your close relationships, and how does it impact the people you interact with now and that you look to have close relationships with? Do you look for people who are congruent, or do you look for people who are on a similar journey that you can help? How did that impact? I mean, did you have best friends that you're no longer friends with now because you're like, okay, this is who I am and I no longer am an idiot, you know, whatever it might be? How did that impact your relationships?
Those relationships were the catalyst for me really discovering the truth of who I really am and what I really want and to my life experience to be. And a friend of mine says it so, as it's just a great way to understand, is that for us to grow, for anything to grow, it has to push against something. Like a seed has to push against the soil to become something. Baby has to push against the womb, you know, to come out. Like, in order for anything to grow, there's a pushing up of pushing against. So relationships are catalysts for growth, and they all serve. They're all little learning platforms for us to expand our capacity to love at a deeper level, ourselves first and foremost, and others. And then I think as those build and progress, you know, you start to attract relationships that are congruent, that are in alignment. Not to say they're not going to have their own set of challenges, but it becomes a place where you grow together. Ideal relationships are that place where you grow together. For me, I've gotten to a place where I have these amazing relationships in my life and friendships and all levels that we hold the space for each other to grow through whatever's coming up. Like those triggers, Carol, that you're talking about. Like when we get triggered or something, you know, it can go, okay, here's what's coming up for me. Like, I totally know this has nothing to do with you, and this is what's coming up for me. You know, and having those people in your life that can hold that space for you to talk it out, explore it, work through it, and let it go and clear it. It's like the most phenomenal place to be when you have those relationships that are so deeply authentic and vulnerable, you know, where you can just be real and raw and vulnerable, and it's safe. Like, that's what I align my life with now. That's more and more of that shows up for me now. But I also hold that space for other people to do the same thing. I mean, like, I think that, gosh, even on an airplane, my seatmate will tell me their life story. I'm like, I just met this person. That happens to me all the time. And I think, you know, some people are like, oh, why do people have the need to tell me all their rules? I look at it very differently. You know, some of the information I kind of maybe didn't want the visuals about, like the ladies that, you know, husband slept with her cat and that's why they're getting a divorce, you know. Hey, listen, if I had to have...
Say what?
Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
Slept
crazy.
with her cat? Like at bestiality sex?
Apparently,
or like just snuggled up?
But anyhow, anyway, I know I probably shouldn't have even gone there, but I did. But my point to the story is that clearly I hold that space for people to feel safe enough to share, you know. And I'm really not, you know, making light of that situation. I can't even imagine what that would have been like. But I'm just saying, I'm just making light of it in a fun way. But yeah. So to answer your question, every single relationship is a container for our growth and evolvement, and then from that space, you become more of who you are, and from that place, you know, when you're aligned with what that looks like, you cultivate and attract relationships that serve you at your highest level.
Carol?
Yeah, that's really well said. With regards to relationships along my journey, there are some people that I've had to let go of, and there are some people that have stayed in my life, and some people that have fallen away naturally, just as a natural progression of my own growth. But like Audra said, each and every single person was a catalyst and was necessary for my own personal experience and growth. And there's two. I mean, we can't forget about another person's process as well, whether or not we are doing anything actively to affect that person. Just by our mere existence, we affect others, and each person has their own virtual reality that we are part of. And as that occurs, they learn theirs, and we either stay together or apart, or we, you know, grow together. And I've had an amazing group of people in my life for the past 14 years, like Audra said, that have been there so that I can fully be myself and share what I'm going through at any given moment. So it's kind of like a reality check. I have people in my life that I know that I can completely be raw with. I won't say authentic with, because I'm always authentic in every moment, but be completely raw with, and share what exactly I'm going through and what's going on with me at any given moment. And I think that's really important. But I think what's really poignant to keep in mind, always affecting others. We can't breathe without doing that. How about you, Chris?
It's been definitely an interesting journey because I have such a loyalty to people, and through probably the last 5 years, I've really let go of the need to try so hard to measure up in people's eyes or impress them. Part of my problem in doing the motivation thing is that I could tell my wife one time, I said, I think I'm a compulsive motivationalist because I'm just constantly, I just love inspiring people and finding out what makes people tick and doing all that stuff. And at one point we were somewhere, and I was like, I'll talk with a waitress, I'll talk with a bartender, and she's like, can you just turn that off? Can you just be normal? And I didn't realize how bad it had gotten until some friends of ours were like, we want the old Chris back. And I was like, well, what's the old Chris? And like, well, he used to come over and play guitar and drink beer, and now we feel like we can't say we're having a bad day, otherwise, Mr. Motivator is going to come up and try to cheer us up and turn the frown upside down. And I hadn't realized how bad I'd gotten. I thought it was good, but I was thankful enough that I had friends that were honest with me and said, hey, Chris, we love the fact that you're positive and everything, but we just want to hang out and just play music or do whatever. And so it was an opportunity for me to see things differently. But also, it was an opportunity for me to go, well, if I can't be who I am, and I have to stifle that, and you don't like that positivity, then maybe I don't need to hang out with you as much. And it's not a bad thing. It's nothing against them. It's just that my path has changed, and I love being around people that I can talk about that stuff with and get energized, like you guys. I mean, we sit there and we talk about, the rawness of the situation, and sometimes you have to just say, okay, well, that's not that Christopher anymore. This is the Christopher that loves to be around people who, get charged up. I was talking with a guy the other day, and we just kept feeding off ourselves, and we're just like, oh yeah, and you could do this, and you could do this, and you could do this, and it's just like, okay, that's the new person. And it's okay. I think we identify ourselves like, oh, well, I've known that person for 20 years, and I've got a friend of mine, his name's Danny, I'll even call him out. We were close, but it's just like, I'll text him every once in a while, see how you're doing or see how I'm doing, but he's on a different path now, and I'm on a different path, and it doesn't mean that if he called me right now and said, Chris, I need you, I wouldn't be there. But I've had to let go of, okay, maybe he doesn't like being around Mr. Positive Chris all the time or Mr. Goal-Oriented Chris, and I used to have to tone that down, and I would, I wouldn't say as much stuff as I'm working on, but that's not me. It's like, hey, I've got a radio show, I'm doing speaking, I'm doing coaching, I'm traveling, I'm writing a book, that's what I am doing, that's what I love to do, and if you like it, cool, and if not. But for me, it's also, I don't have a lot of family around, and I've seen so many people become more and more successful, and the family is usually the worst people that drag you down, and it's so sad. And I was just helping somebody the other day with that. I'm like, then you need to tell your family, adios. If you're not going to be with me and support me and help me grow and encourage me, if you just want to poo-poo everything I'm doing, then perhaps I don't need to hang around you as much. And they were just like, no, but that's my family. I'm like, well, I'm sorry, but in my opinion, family is there to help you and support you. And if you're on a different path in the growth, then you need to move on. And that's kind of what I'm learning, and I'm being more and more comfortable with that, and just, again, owning myself and rocking it, and the people will show up.
And sometimes we just grow in different directions, but just recently I had this whole aha around the whole family dynamic, because I just thought, I'm like, now I understand, and I believe that our families are so for our growth more than anybody. Here's why. In my opinion, you think that family's supposed to accept what you're doing, love you unconditionally, support all these things that you have going on and all these ideas, and just, it's supposed to be like that, right? At least that's what I have this belief around. And I'm like, but my soul tribe that I find, it's like they're so unconditionally loving. They're so... But yet it's that family dynamic and structure that, again, that push against that helps us grow. And you can't escape that growth. You can, truly. We all have choices. But I think that you're more inclined to stay, you're not going to, like, or you could. We all have our choices, and it's our experience to have. But I had this idea that, wow, family structures were created because you don't leave. And they're sometimes our greatest learning and our greatest teaching, because it forces us to stay there and grow. We can go find our happy place over here, and we do ultimately. But anyway, I don't know if does that make sense to you or not, but it's just something recently that I thought, well, isn't that interesting? Because I absolutely love my family. And a lot of them don't really understand what I'm doing, and I have friends that, they're like, totally get that. It's more comfortable to be with those people, right? And but it also helps me grow, because it's like it's a form of resistance of well, why don't they get what I'm doing? Shouldn't they get what I'm doing? They're supposed to be my family, or whatever comes up. But that's the thing. Part of my next layer of growth to work through is it's okay. Nobody has to get anything. I get it. So anyway, did that make sense for you?
Yeah, it's actually a different take on what I was saying. I was kind of like saying, basically, if you're not with me, then adios. And you're saying more or less that they're there to challenge you and to help you grow on your journey.
Yeah, I just think and I just thought, well, isn't it interesting, built-in structure of growth, that we are born into these families. And yet we go over here and hang with our soul tribes, but we have our amazing, beautiful biological families that, may not be in alignment with some of the things we have going on, but what an amazing tribe and village of people that help us grow. I don't know, something that came up for me lately.
I think one of the biggest fears, or some of the biggest fears that people have when they are going to process and journey of self-discovery and self-awareness, is leaving people behind to take others with them. As they're waking up, they want to take others behind, because what happens when they become this conscious being, and all the people that were in their lives, family, friends, acquaintances, all those people that we were so attached to, where will I be, and what will life look like without that? And so it can be a very scary place. It can be a place of being scared of being alone. But my experience has been, as I've traveled this journey, is that at every juncture of my process of growth, I have been met with people who are also on that same process and same journey of growth, and they're equal to or at another level than me, so that we can resonate and not identify with, but resonate that are on a journey too, and that we are never, ever, ever alone. And one of the things that I really wanted to mention with regards to families, that is one of our last bastions of attachment, and cutting that that cord of identification with, because we come into the world naturally as being tribal, and how else can it be than being placed where we come into the world in a tribal setting, whether it's family, culture, or anything like that. It's all of the above. And our process is not to cut the cord and leave everybody behind, but to understand that that's the nature of entering into this physical world of tribalness, and understanding the nature of that and what that is, and how we can begin the process of what Carl Jung, the process of vision, and understanding and learning our own nature and individuality, and also being able to accept the family as they are, whether or not they accept us. I've had to go through this in my own life. I've been disowned by my grandmother years ago, and that was a very painful experience. But she had her belief systems, and I had to begin the process of learning that I am not her, she is not me. I'm here to learn different things than she is, and know and understand that nothing that another does, says, or how they behave is personal to me. that was the biggest thing with regards to family that I could ever learn, is that whatever they're saying, whatever they're doing, however they're behaving, whoever they are, is not a personal affront to me. And when I got that at a visceral level, it changed my whole life, because I had other family members where I thought I wanted to have this deep, profound relationship with, and it was never going to happen, not in the way that I saw it should be. And when I could finally go through my own process of taking a stand for who I am, separate from them, and knowing that whatever was going on with them was not personal to me, I could then accept them fully for who they were and where they were in their journey, and I could then change, I could then perceive them differently and have a completely different relationship with them based on my own knowingness of who I really am. And they didn't have to do a thing. They could just be who they are, and I could be with them or not. And it's not just saying it's just on my terms, but it's being secure enough in who I am and know that I could have this relationship with a family member without them having to do a thing, and accept them right where they are, and where they are in their process and their journey, and love them fully and wholly. And it changed my life, because it not only, because if it can be done with family, it can be done more easily with other people in our lives.
I love how you described all of that. I love that, because I just recently went through that. So, like, really I'm appreciating your beautiful description of that whole tribal thing and that, because I'm now feeling free to live my own life and relocate. I've grown up, I've born and raised, 43 years in the same place, and feeling attachment to, that, and the tribe, and the family, and having cut those cords, and the way that you described. So now I feel like I'm free to go. And a lot of that, too, is uncovering the awareness of where what are those attachments? Where are you on those attachments? Where did they start, or how can you let them go? And my biggest thing was that I had developed, and it's the whole identity thing, is they need me. And I had to I had to swallow the bitter pill of, no, they don't. Well, who am I if they don't need me? And just that whole journey and that whole process and the whole unlayering. So, Carol, thank you, because I don't even know that you knew that I had recently had this breakthrough with my beautiful friend Sophie, where it actually was cutting that cord, so that I felt like I had the permission and freedom that I gave myself to let go of whatever attachment was keeping me tied to not fully living the life that I want to myself. So thank you. That was really beautiful.
Well, we got a few minutes left. We got about 5 minutes left. And I echo what Audra said. I mean, that's what I love about this and in our relationship. It's like we're talking and talking about our lives, but everybody else gets to listen in and eavesdrop and hopefully walk away with something that they're able to use. So I appreciate that about you guys, because I really do. So I don't know how we want to end up our last 5 minutes. I mean, where do you guys see yourself in 5-10 years? I mean, we're on this journey now. I freaked myself out the other day really bad, because I was sitting there looking at my nippy Ozzy Osbourne Roush, and I was like, well, if Ozzy lives 15 years like my last dog did, I'll be 60 years old. And I thought, okay, then I would get another dog, because I've always had a dog. And I thought, then I'll have another dog for 15 years. I'll be 75 years old. It's like, okay, I've got 2 dogs left in my lifetime, and it kind of freaked me out a little bit about the journey and what we're going to do and how you embrace those opportunities. Where do you guys see yourself ending up, and what in the next 5-10 years?
Carol?
That's funny. I don't look that far ahead. I am allowing my life to unfold. I know what my work is right now that I want to do with people, which is to help them have a deeper understanding and experience of who they are. A lot of people, like you were saying earlier out there, they look great on the outside, but on the inside there's a great deal of chaos going on, and all the voices in our heads are pulling at us. Want to serve those people that are committed and have the courage and are ready to begin or go to another level of their journey and their work. That's where I'm at right now. I try and live in the moment. Yes, there's where but it's
Yeah, that's what works, and that's where you're at. I mean, I could definitely appreciate that. That's living
not
in the
how
moment. Yeah.
to live my life. Yeah, I'm trying to live in the moment.
So, for me, I'm kind of this anymore. I live in the now more than anything. Not to say that I don't have a vision. And I say just to continue to live into that vision. And what that vision really looks like is for me to just continue to grow, expand myself, my learning, try on new things, like experience life to the fullest, travel. I want to travel and I want to see places. I want to help people, break out of their comfort zone and live their dreams. I want to I have this vision to open these feel-good centers all over where anybody can go and they could go in a room and create a vision board or paint or put music. There'll be music and you can just freaking dance your ass off and and all these just different things like where you can go and you can feel good, but you're feeling good organically. You're because you're allowing yourself to express, whether it be from dancing, whether it be in the form of art or whatever that looks like, rather than going to a bar and numbing out or going shopping and racking up your credit cards or doing those things that outside of you that fill you. I want to help people tap into their when we get funky or we want to go distract or avoid or do all those things that it's just a place that to reconnect to your soul and your spirit and your place of true authentic self-expression and just and leave high on life. That's one of my big visions. But more than anything is just to keep showing up for myself, to continue to put myself out of my comfort zone, do fun things to challenge myself to grow to that next level, and hold somebody's hand and bring them along on the journey in whatever way that I can support and serve them. That's really what I want. And to do maybe more of this, but even on a bigger scale, who knows what that might look like. So that's
Awesome sauce. Awesome sauce. And right on time. It's 1 o'clock.
Yay! Happy Friday!
Well, to all of you that joined us, we want to thank you, and thank you for the cards and letters, and keep them coming. You can get a hold of me, Christopher Rausch, obviously ChristopherRausch.com. You can email me, Christopher@ChristopherRausch.com if you want more information. We look forward to suggestions and ideas of what you think you'd like to see us talk about, and we look forward to seeing you on future episodes. Carol and Audra, where can they get a hold of you at?
They can get a hold of you.
AudraIrwin.com. AudraIrwin.com. ERWIN.com. Audra@HighOnLifeCoach.com.
You can reach me at carolpilkington.com. As you see, a free half-hour consultation on anything that you want to talk about and anything that you're working through at the moment. I'm happy to help in any way I can. You can also call me at 818-505-87. That's 818-975-0587. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Peace out. Kick ass, baby.
All y'all. Peace out. See you next time.